You're tuned in to the Live Wild podcast, and I'm your host, Hilary Rose. Today's conversation is one that really stuck with me. My guest is Frances Kelleher, known to many as the Love Doctor and Ireland's only Mars-Venus gender intelligence coach. We talk about red flags we ignore, the questions we need to ask ourselves about love, and the quiet loneliness so many people carry even when they're dating or in relationships.
And I heard of the loneliness epidemic. So there's a worldwide loneliness epidemic. This happened way before COVID. I mean, even the UK have a special minister appointed for loneliness. I mean, it's as detrimental to your health, loneliness. They've done the research as smoking 20 cigarettes a day. So when I heard that, I thought, I'm really being pulled in this direction. All the research from Harvard to Stanford, all the research says it's not the 10 million in the bank. It's not what accolades you have. It's your relationships, first of all, that you have. And number two, the quality of those relationships.
Frances brings warmth, clarity, and deep compassion to this conversation. It's a grounded, honest look at love as a practice and not a fantasy. I think you're really going to feel this one. Let's begin. We have Frances Kelleher, the Love Doctor, on the episode today. I'm so happy that you're on the Live Wild podcast. This one, folks, I think is going to be a big one because we've never actually done a dating episode before. We've never done a podcast episode where we've talked about love, relationship and dating. We've talked about, in a different episode, we talked a little about embodiment and tantric practices. In another episode, we talked a little bit about somatic embodiment and consent, but this is really like something completely different: dating, love, relationships, and it affects every single one of us every day of our lives. So I have so many questions for you. I don't know if I'm going to get to them all, but let's dive in. What do you think?
Brilliant. I can't wait. And thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure. And it is such a huge thing in people's lives. So anything we can give to people that will be quick wins for them, that's fantastic.
Brilliant. I think there's going to be loads that the listeners can get from this conversation. I'm going to dive in. There's so much to get to. What do you think was your first story about love, whether consciously or unconsciously? How do you feel it shaped your early relationships?
I think, it's really when you're going to school, you're growing up, you're going into those teenage years and everything is changing. You're not a kid anymore. You've different priorities as you're getting older. You want to fit in. You want to have that special person. People are starting, to have their first boyfriend or first girlfriend. And of course, everybody wants that special person. So I think, it's being around that energy of wanting to have a full life and living your best life. And I think people really want that. Even the clients I speak to, they say, I want a full life. I want to experience everything. So I think it starts really from the teenage years when you're growing up and you want to experience that maybe first love or, the first kiss. And a lot of people have said to me, even, male and female clients, that they say, I missed out on that part. I was very shy or I didn't have the confidence. And then the years went by quickly and I felt I was behind and then I felt I couldn't catch up and I never had that experience. So, I've even worked with people that have never had the first kiss and they could be even 30 or 40 years of age or they've never gone on the first date. And I think it's so tragic, because it does start in those early years and you want to live, like I say, your fullest life and experience everything.
So I suppose when you have, your very first story, like what would that have been for you, do you think? Because I think we're also absorbing so much around us. Do the stories start in childhood at home? Do the stories start when you're watching cartoons or watching fairy tales? I know it becomes a bit more formative when you're in your teenage years, but how do you feel like, is there a story that you can think of that shaped it for you?
I think Hollywood has a lot to do with it,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you agree or not.
Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, look, we are like sponges,
Mm.
all our lives, but especially when we're growing up and even from a young age, like you say, the fairy tales, it's fed us through the fairy tales initially. And you always want to meet that prince and that hero that's going to ride in on the horse, even when you're younger, watching the fairy tales. Then it comes into what you're watching on television, the TV shows, the Hollywood movies that say, this is the way it happens. And there's drama, there's mad passion, there might be the conflict, but then you meet your person. So I think definitely for me, it was the Hollywood movies. You see that, and, you see the pairing that they meet the right person and their life changes then. And I think for me, that was a big thing. You are fed it. And I think really, it's within us as well. It's in our hearts. And I know even, from, all of us women and men, but just even the sisterhood of women, they say that, and we know that the women want their own love story. And, we all want that as women. So it does start very early for people. You have the fairy tales first, and then, like I say, you have the Hollywood movies.
They call it the meet cute in Hollywood.
Oh, I never heard that.
Yeah, there's a term for it. I think I've got that right, meet cute. Where, like you talked about the conflict. So normally you have, the couple who are strangers to each other, and they might sometimes literally bump into each other. So that's the meet. And then there's conflict between them, or they don't like each other at the start. And then through the storyline of whatever they go through, then there's a romance develops after that. So there's the meet cute that happens in Hollywood.
I never knew that. That's so interesting. And I mean, look, I get it. There's for and against that, because sometimes then people think we have to have this massive love story, or I have to find this massive love story, and there has to be drama and conflict. Love can be very plain sailing and very calm and still fantastic in every sense of it. It doesn't have to be the Hollywood dramatic, movie with conflicts and everything. It can be a person you've known all your life, friends that going up and down the road, and then something happens someday. There's just that spark, or it goes over to, past the line over to a different thing. And it's just as good. So I would remind people of that. It doesn't have to be, a certain way. There are different types of stories.
Absolutely. And I think the whole fireworks thing is a bit of a fallacy anyway. I think it's, like you said, having the basis of a much calmer, regulated basis for a relationship can be much more. People feel like they need the excitement. But, like you said, I don't think that's necessarily true.
Definitely.
Do you think there was a moment for you when you felt, oh, this is a calling, this is actually a career? Was there a moment for you? Like, when did you realize that?
Great question. So I was always interested in reading books on psychology and self-improvement and growth. And I was always interested in how we worked, as humans. And I did my life coaching course. Then I started off as a life coach. And the more I thought about it, the more I felt pulled in that direction, especially the moment really it happened, Hilary, was especially when I heard of the loneliness epidemic. So there's a worldwide loneliness epidemic. This happened way before COVID. It used to be before that, only older people were lonely, or people that their children had just left the nest for college, and, they were alone in the house. But now it's crossing every age group, every demographic. You can be 17, 18, 19 and lonely, or you can be 70, 80, 90 years of age lonely. So when I heard that, I mean, even the UK have a special minister appointed for loneliness. That's how serious an issue it is. And it is,
wow.
Oh, it's amazing, Hilary. I mean, it's as detrimental to your health, loneliness. They've done the research as smoking 20 cigarettes a day. So when I heard that, I thought, I'm really being pulled in this direction. And also I had, seen and done a lot of research on what makes people happy. And all the research from Harvard to Stanford, all the research says it's not the 10 million in the bank. It's not what accolades you have.
Mm.
It's your relationships, first of all, that you have. And number two, the
Mm.
quality of those relationships. And, I saw a lot of people chasing the wrong thing for happiness. If I get this promotion, if I, have 2 houses, if I have 10 million in the bank, if I have the 6-pack, then I'll be happy. And it's not that. So I knew I could help people in that field, and that became my specialty and my niche. And to help people to end the loneliness, to find the right person that would make them the best version of themselves and live their best life. And, that is really it. And I mean, even Julia Roberts has said, meeting her husband, they married, 25 years now, Danny Moder, was the most seismic shift. That's exactly what she said. It's the most seismic shift she had in her life. And I often point out, the women, they want the alpha male and, the go-getter. And I say, Julia Roberts went for the beta male. She went for the grip, the camera, known as the camera, the grip is the cameraman. And, she had dated all A-listers before that. And, they hadn't made her happy. And she went for the better man. And, it's not about the stripes somebody has, how much do they have in the bank. It's about the soul connection. And I say you need 3 things, for a long-lasting relationship. You need them to be your best friend, number 1. You need to have the chemistry. You have to have the spark. And number 3, which is the most important, the shared values. That's what makes a relationship last.
I think it's fair to say that you can be lonely on your own, lonely in a group, or even lonely in a relationship as well. So how do you address, if someone comes to you and says they're lonely, where do you start?
Great question. Another great question. So first of all, I always say, it starts with you. So we'd love people to do what we want and act the way we want and control people and all that. And mainly we do go for outside ourselves to control. It's an instinct, you think that. But really, it's all about you. And I know it's a cliche, but it's so true. You have to start with yourself. You have to love yourself first. You have to, look within yourself for the answers. So what I tell people is you have to have a full life first. If you have that full life and you're happy and you're giving out love, you're going to become a love magnet.
Gorgeous.
It's just, honestly, it's seriously that simple. But I get it. It's hard to work on yourself. It can be hard to change the habits. But what I would say is look at the tanks. So we often talk, I'm a Mars Venus coach. I've studied under John Gray, the author of the best-selling relationship book of all time. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Oh, yes.
And we often, he's a great man. We often talk about the tanks. So your tanks have to be full. If you just have a work tank full and that's it, what do they say? All work makes Jack a dull boy, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. If you just have the hobby tank full, you have to have a balance. That's not good enough. You have to have a hobby tank full, your friendship tank full, your work tank full, and your love tank full. So I say, let's look. We get out a wheel of life and we say, look at where you're happy. Put in out of 10 what you're happy with that. And then it becomes very obvious. Okay, this is why I'm feeling lonely. I don't have enough friends. A lot of people, Hilary, come to me and say, I want to make more friends.
Yeah, wow.
To make friends when you get older.
Yeah.
So, it's really the quality of the relationships and the relationships you have. So we might work on that. Or if they say, I'm looking for that special person. Okay, we see here you're working, 10 to the dozen. You've got to take your foot off the pedal there and make more time for love, make more time for socializing.
And nurture the friendships that you have, nurture the relationships that you have. I always said, you can't just put a seed in the ground and expect it to grow into this marvelous oak tree. It has to be nurtured. And that's something that I had to learn along the way as well. But it's so someone comes to you and says they're lonely and you look at the tanks. More often than not, do they actually do what you suggest?
Oh yeah, that here is a very, very interesting question and another great question.
Or are they looking for quick fixes?
Such a good point. So this is what separates, Hilary, the wheat from the chaff.
There we go.
I always say, there's 2 things. You come to me, you learn the strategies, I coach you on what to do, we give you the blueprint. Second thing is implementation and taking massive action. And if you don't take the massive action and you don't do it, and that's one of the gaps I see with people that do not succeed, they don't follow the blueprint. So when that happens, I say most of the time there's a block. So people say, but I don't know what to do. Now you have the strategy, now you know what to do, but you're not doing it. So what's the problem? Where's the blockage? And a lot of the time it can be a block on confidence. I don't have the confidence, or, they like, basically, really, a lot of the time people feel they're not enough. And they will tell themselves a different story then, because that's better than feeling I'm not enough. I don't have enough time. I don't know what to do. Then when they do know what to do, they still don't feel enough to do it. They don't have the confidence. So we get then to the root of that and we remove that.
Because that is a devastating self-thought. I'm not good enough for this person, or I'm not good enough for that, or I'm not good enough for a relationship. And sometimes they're not even aware of that thought. How do you start to weed that out within them?
So we do a lot of talking. I ask a lot of questions. What have you tried before? Why are you here now? And I really see, Hilary, what pushes people forward. There are two things. So people either move towards pleasure or they move away from pain. But the away from pain is the major one. So when people say, I've had enough, I'm frustrated, they're willing to do the work, and we talk through it, and through the questions and their lack of action or their responses or the feedback, then we weave through what's the problem. And it's amazing, because 80% of the time it's mindset, Hilary. Mindset is the foundation of the house. And most of the time it's mindset. So I see three major gaps, that stop people: a lack of confidence, lack of emotional intelligence. They don't know how to make somebody feel good. They don't know how to build the attraction. They don't know what right leading questions to ask. And the third one is lack of strategy. So they either have those three things, but the main one is lack of confidence. So I would say to people, do 3 things every day to move you towards your goal. If it's hiring a coach, reading a dating book, be on an app for 15 minutes. If you do them every day, if you do 3 things every day, if you find that overwhelming, just do one thing. But do one thing every day, and it compounds and it gets you to where you want to be. And if confidence is your main issue, learn about confidence. If strategy is your main issue, hire a coach, find out about strategy, find out how to use the apps. There's only really a lot of the time 1 or 2 gaps. And once you fill in those gaps, people are flying. People are flying.
Because that was a question I had for you, that what's the most common belief people bring into their dating that quietly sabotages them before they've even begun? So do you think that it is confidence, or that it is?
100%. It's actually self-worth. And then they're connected, the same thing really.
Yeah.
But it's I'm not good enough. It's I can't get what I want. I can't make it work. I can't get to where I want to go because I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. And, I'm different. It's different for me. These things have happened and this is my story, and that's why I can't do this. So change your story, reframe it. Everybody's story is brilliant because, it makes you a warrior. Anything you go through makes you tougher, makes you say, I can get through this. I got through that. And there's a thing called anti-fragility. It's a concept that people can Google, and it means that you end up so tough that you're bulletproof. You can get through anything. You can say, I'm anti-fragile now. Come on, bring it on. I love the challenge. I can do this. This is just giving me another suit of armor. So become anti-fragile.
Anti-fragile. Wow. Okay. When you talk about stopping the stories that we tell ourselves, like when's there a fine line between a story that maybe is protecting us or a story that's keeping us stuck?
So I would say the reframing the story is how you will know is it empowering me? Is it empowering me to move forward and giving me positive energy and positive feedback? Or is it keeping me stuck? Even though I'm protected, am I not moving forward? You always want to be moving forward because otherwise you're dying. What was that in, is it Shawshank Redemption with that actor? when he says, Tim Robbins, when he says, get busy living or get busy dying.
Oh, yes, yes.
Was
Wow.
that Shawshank in the prison? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And it stuck in my head. It's so true. We're not staying still or stagnant. In life, you're either going forward, or you're going backward. So ask, is this helping me with my goals? Is this helping me move forward? And it's so interesting. When you're in a positive, upbeat, empowering frame of mind, your brain is 35% more resourceful.
Yes.
It opens up your frontal lobe. You start solving problems. You're in that solving problem mode. Whereas when you're like, I can't do this, too hard, it shuts down that part of your brain. So you always want to be asking, is this, I always say, as well as people ask, is this serving me? Is this belief serving me? Is this food serving me? Is this friendship serving me? Or is it, taking my energy and holding me back? So I think that's how you'll know.
Can you give us a good example of a story that you reframed or helped somebody reframe? I think that would be really beneficial for people to hear.
Yes, I had a client and she thought that it was her. I'm not good enough. I can't ever get people on the apps, or I get the first date, but I can never get the second date. And I said to her, she said, I think it could be my pictures. And she was a beautiful looking girl. My God, she was like a Swedish model. I said lovingly, I don't know. We haven't worked together yet, but I doubt it's your pictures. I'm guessing it's conversation and it's strategy, but that's just my guess. We haven't worked together yet. So we started working together, and she told me a story that she had met a guy, and he was heading for being a famous footballer. And he mentioned footballer on the date, and she was very low on confidence in herself and the conversation skills she had. And she said, oh, I don't know anything about football. So she immediately shut down the conversation. That was his whole self-identity. He was deflated. He didn't know what else to say. He had, not that many things that he was so passionate about as that to talk about. And she never got the second date. So I said to her, she did my 5-week program. So we did on week 2, we do strategy with online on the dating apps. She couldn't get the second date. When she had strategy on the apps, she had multiple dates. She was dating, all around her. And on week 5, she met her guy because she knew, we taught her, we joke manganese, man language, how to build the attraction.
I love it, manganese. Oh my God. You're going to have to tell me some of this in a minute. Okay, go on, finish this.
And we taught her how men work. Men have 6 love needs, different to the 6 love needs of women. And we taught her, how to build the attraction through the conversation. And she met her guy on week 5. She said, oh my God, I just couldn't believe it was just like something that simple, that gap of this, learning the strategy on the apps and being able to talk to guys that they can understand, that you're building the attraction and all that. And she sent me a text and a picture of her engagement ring. They just got engaged.
Oh my God, I was going to say a wedding invite. Oh my God, amazing.
Yeah. And we had another guy that got married, a farmer. He's up on our Instagram, Mike. You can see his picture with his fiance. He said, it was the pictures. You took pictures for me for the apps. Guys don't have a lot of help, Hilary. They don't have the sisterhood like us. They're not going to go to their mate. Will you take a picture for me for the apps? Said lovingly, men are different. And once you know the differences and work with the differences, you can win. But he said those pictures were how I met Caroline, my fiance. So it's about taking massive action and filling in the couple of gaps you have. Because most people don't, they think they might have 20 gaps, but they don't. So she was wrong. It wasn't her. It wasn't something wrong with her. She didn't have the right strategy. The strategy was wrong. The way she was communicating to men, she didn't know it was the wrong way. She was communicating like she would to woman to woman.
Okay, so manganese, let's come back to that. Are we better to talk about the 6 love needs of men versus women, or do you want to talk about manganese first? Because this is enthralling me. I've gone off script here, but let's go with this.
No, whatever, suits you. So I would say, men are very succinct. they're very different. So we talk for 20 minutes and we have to explain everything. Men like a direct, 2 sentences and that's it. So a woman's limbic system in her brain, which is the human seat of the soul, it's the seat of emotion in the human brain, is 25% bigger in women than men.
Wow.
We have, it's unreal. We have 2, language talking centers on the left and right hemisphere. We have 2 in our brain, one on the right, one on the left. Men only have 1. And their brains are made for specific one action things. We are multitaskers. We can think about Johnny's homework and the washing we have to put on and, I must put that in the project at work. Our brain is like a swimming pool, all different things in it. Men's are different. It's just for one thing. That's why men are brilliant in an emergency. The house is on fire. You want a man. They're in, they're out, they're all over it because it's just direct, boom, boom, boom.
I'm laughing because I think I'm the man that you're describing here.
But there's nothing wrong with that. I say to people, all of us women are pushed into our masculine energy actually with the modern world now because we're out and, we don't have the direct roles we had, nurture, mother, stay at home and nurture the children. The men went out, they, got the food and all the rest of it. Now our roles are very mixed and women are in their masculine energy a lot and men are in their feminine. And that's why the women push for the date online and ask for the date and they're pursuing. And I say, stop, let the men pursue. Men want to earn the woman. Sit back in her feminine energy. Let the man do his man work. But so you have to talk to a man differently. And I would say, the love needs are huge. So the woman's love needs, very quickly, completely different. So we need caring, we need understanding, we need respect, we need devotion, we need validation and reassurance. So that's different to men. Men love trust. They don't want to say, what are you doing with the car? Are you sure that's the right, plug to put into that car? No, I'm the mechanic. I know what I'm doing. Trust me.
Okay.
So, leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. They want acceptance. They want to be accepted for who they are. They want appreciation. Appreciation is huge, with human beings, but it's huge for men. And admiration, approval, and encouragement. So admiration is a big one. That's where, my hero's coming on the white horse. See, men want to be the hero and the women want him to be the hero. So it works perfectly together once we know each other's differences. And encouragement is a massive one for men. Because in relationships, men need 3 things. They need intimacy to connect with the woman physically. They need support, which is part of the encouragement, one of their 6 love needs. And they need loyalty. So loyalty is a big one for a guy. They want their woman, to have, say, Brad Pitt come in with his Ferrari, his lovely good looks, his, 10,000 million in the bank. And for the woman to say, you know what, Brad, thanks very much. You're lovely. Really appreciate it. But I have my Johnny over here and there's nobody like him. That's what men want. Those 3 things. Women are way more complex. I always say men are simple. Men are black and white. They're amazing. They're black and white. And, once you speak the manganese and these 6 love needs and how to weave them into conversation, that's the attraction. So I say, for instance, if a guy said, I'm working 2 jobs, you could go, oh, right, okay, how are you finding it? Or you could weave in admiration and appreciation. Say, wow, and this is really what I would think. You have to be genuine as well in what you're saying. I would say, oh my God, that's amazing. I can hardly do 1 job. Your work ethic is so admirable. And then that opens up people. When you speak the right language to males and females, they will want to tell you their story. And, Oprah said, everybody has a story to tell. And I'm saying, you want to convince them that you're the person that they should tell the story to, and that's how you create the emotional connection, which is the holy grail. Because if somebody isn't emotionally connected to you, they're not going to fall in love with you.
Wow. There's a lot of chatter online about statistics and of relationships and that single women do better than married women, but married men do better than single men. What are your thoughts on that?
So that I have heard that. So I would think really the bottom line is people are individual. and you can have different experiences. But I get where they're coming from. A lot of people think, there's the society pressure, you have to get married, or what's wrong with you. Even my clients tell me they feel that social pressure. And sometimes you might think, Louise or Kate, oh, they're not doing well, they never found their person, whatever. They're doing fantastically well. They mightn't want to have gotten married. They might be happy on their own. They mightn't have time for love. So there's that. With the men, it's back to the woman being their haven. So men don't have, like I said, the sisterhood. They don't have the gang that you can, talk to, get advice from. They might have a good mate that they'll go for a pint with, or say, I want to run this by you, but they don't have that community that women have. Whereas the guy has his haven in his woman. When he comes home, he can say, this has happened. She'll say, we're in it together. Listen, you're better than them. You can do better. You're going to rise from this like a phoenix. The support. So I think it's that for the married men. Now, the other stats show that married men make more money than single men.
Yeah.
And married men with kids make even more money than just married men with no kids, because that's because men show love in three ways, different again, totally to women. They will provide monetary with money, or they will say, listen, I lost my job, but your car is broken. My friend is a mechanic. Let me bring him over. Let me look under the bonnet and see, can I help? They're providers. They are providing for someone they love. Secondly, they will want to protect that woman, protect her. I hear people saying, mind the road. My husband taught me mind the road before I left the house. That's a way of saying I love you. Mind that traffic, go slow. I hear people saying that's the man protecting his woman. And if somebody comes to the door to break down the door, he will be out with the hatchet protecting. He will be there defending,
Yeah.
And the third way is they will, be territorial. They will put a name on the relationship. This is my girlfriend. This is my fiance. This is my wife. They will say, listen, I want us to be exclusive. Come off the apps, because they don't want any other guy getting in on their territory. So they're the three ways. So I think that's how men flourish, in the relationship. Whereas women can do better on their own. They have other support systems and networks, and they have a lot of the time a fuller life, Hilary said lovingly. We work harder at it. We work at our hobbies, or, men tend to maybe blame other people and sit back and kind of wallow more. It's just the traits of men and women.
For those maybe that come to you that have been hurt really badly before, or disappointed in any way, how do you gently, help them to reopen their heart without abandoning boundaries for them?
So great point about boundaries. Boundaries are massive. I tell people, sit down, with your cup of tea at night, take a half an hour, take a notebook and write out your boundaries. And write out your 5, wish lists for a guy or girl, and your 5 deal breaker list. And it's very easy to walk away then. So I would say the first thing is, if you've been very hurt, please, I beg people, leave that monkey on the other person's back. We have enough monkeys. I call it monkeys, Hilary. We have enough monkeys we have to deal with ourselves that we can't get away from, Yeah. So don't be taking on other people's monkeys. I say, don't let them take your trust. That was their weakness, their choice. That's nothing to do with your worth. It's how people treat you has nothing to do with your worth. It's not a reflection on your self-worth.
That's so important.
So important. They're totally different. People connect them. Well, this happened to me and I was treated like that, so I must be this, so I must not be worthy. No, that's on them. So remember the monkeys, leave them on the other person's back. And the second thing I would say is, you move forward in steps. So 1 to 2 steps. Don't go 1 to 20. Get out of your comfort zone 1 to 2 steps. Then you're at 2. Then go out another 2. Then you're at 4. Then go out another 2. You're at 6. And confidence. It's the circle. So you put yourself out there. You say, oh my God, I survived. I went on the app. I got a date. That builds your confidence. So then you want to accomplish more. So you take another step out more. You say, I went on the second date. Then that builds confidence. So it's accomplishment builds confidence, and it's a continuing circle. So I would say just take baby steps and give trust in little bits. Don't give the farm away. This is what people, do when they make a mistake. On day 3, they're giving the farm away, and no, you don't meet someone and say, here's my car.
Yeah, absolutely.
People think love is different. I often say, if you work in McDonald's or you work for Paramount, it doesn't matter. You don't go in and say, I'll do all this work for free. I'm in McDonald's, I'll clean, I'll stay here from 9 o'clock, I'll clean the floors, but you don't have to pay me anything. No, it's an exchange. You invest only what they're investing. And it's a great way to test the water to see, is this person all in? Because if you give away the farm and, you're doing everything, after the 3rd date, you feel stripped bare then when they walk away on day 4. And you have to protect yourself. You have to have the boundaries in place. Say, okay. And I always say the 3 months, Hilary. You don't know anybody for 3 months.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. People can do their best, performing and tell the best stories and be their best self, but normally not after the 3 months. I even had a guy that, broke it off 2 days up to exactly the 3 months. And the client said, oh my God, thank God. You told me not to give away the farm and you were there. And we saw him emotionally pulling back. I said, there's a red flag. There's a red flag. He's not coming down there every week. 3rd red flag. She knew it was coming. But she said, I felt so much better because, she was very upset. She was crying when it was over, when he broke it off and all that. And she said, but I would have been way worse if I'd given the farm. I would have felt stripped dry. So protect yourself.
Let's talk about red flags. It's so important. Again, it's a term that's really only come up kind of online in conversation over the last couple of years. It's something we really would never have. Well, I would never even have heard about these terms as a teenager or a young woman, a young adult. Let's talk about red flags. What are major ones for you?
Okay, so online, they do overlap, but they're separate for online and real life. So very quickly, so easy. Just follow the blueprint. If you see these, you have your cautious, hat on. If a guy comes on, oh my God, Hilary, I've never seen it once work out. Not once. Hi, honey. Hey, babe. Hi, dear. Hey, gorgeous.
Wow.
Immediately, like.
Oh,
never.
Okay. Oh my God.
Once.
Okay. So I casual terms of endearment immediately, I suppose. Is that the way you would put it?
And I had one client, and we laughed over this. She knew it was a red flag herself. She was like, this is so obvious. I get what you're saying now. He came on and he had messaged her for 2 days, and he said, okay, good night, future wife. And she said,
oh, okay.
So anything that's
good night. God bless. We'll see you.
Good night and good luck. Yeah. So, anything that's over familiar. I had a Florida client. She was huge into salsa dancing. She was online to a guy they were meant to meet on their first date. I said lovingly, I don't think you're ever going to meet this guy. She goes, oh no, but he's texting me and he's all about me. And he even said, like I told you, Frances, if we're going dancing every weekend, I'll have to buy dancing shoes. I said, that's it. He's acting like he's dated for 6 months. 6 months. Steady, serious, consistent guys don't act like that. And I don't act like that. And I'll tell you why. Because they don't want to end up with the bunny boiler either. They're not going to they're smart. They're saying, what's in it for me? They're not going to jump in and go, yeah, let's be all, And they don't talk like that. They're serious. I want to see how this goes. I want to see, is this woman wife material? Is she mother material? Is she going to be nice to me? Is she going to enhance my life? And that's what you should be thinking too. Be the love detective, I call it. Right. But anything, hi dear, hey babe, writing tons of messages, theses.
So are you love bombing? Would that come under love bombing, the whole lot?
Brilliant explanation. Yes. So writing loads, I call it all talk and no action. You're probably never going to meet them. They'll talk and talk and talk, but they won't suggest meeting. Another thing is obviously ghosting, what they call ghosting now. He'll talk to you for a week, leave you for 2 weeks, come back then, or, the new thing, breadcrumbing. He'll just give you a little bit to keep you in.
Oh.
And then he'll disappear for 3 days. Then he'll come back and give you another 2 days conversation. So I always say, don't talk to anybody longer than a week online. Your time and energy are your two most precious commodities. They're red flags. If they ask you to go away, I've had clients, do you want to come to Galway for the night? Saying they've bought you a present for when they first meet you. I had that, the girl, he had never even seen a picture of her. She sent a picture. He said, I have a brown Thomas gift for you. Not a cheap gift, Hilary. Brown Thomas, expensive. I'm going to give it to you when you come up. And I said, this guy, I warned her, but she didn't listen. She wanted to meet him, whatever. He saw the picture. He said, you know what? I don't think we should meet anymore. So you have to protect yourself. God. They're all red flags. Wanting to go away for a weekend before you've met for a coffee, huge red flags. So you got to separate the wheat from the chaff from the wheat. And if people just want to have fun and go away for the weekend, that's fine if that's what you want to do too. The problem is if you want a long-term relationship and you're not just out for fun on the weekend, that's where you can get hurt. So writing long messages. Another one, the other ones offline is if they want to get physical fast, come up to my house after, stay the night after the second date, over familiar, acting like you've dated the whole time. Are talking about future plans. Now, this is where it gets complicated, Hilary, because that can be a good sign or it can be a red flag. Again, the 3 months. Only time will test if the guy or girl is serious or if they're just talking the talk to get what they want to get out of it, or have fun or whatever. So if they're future talking, it can be a good sign, or it can be just, I'll talk about next week and next month to get you up to my house tonight and then have nothing to do with you the next day. And so these then would be the real life red flags. So they do cross over a bit. You have, again, the over familiarity. If somebody is talking about future events, we could go to this concert next week, or we should go during the summer, if that's a month away or something, to this, concert or show. I heard it's very good. That can be a good sign or it can be a red flag. And this is why we need the 3-month test to see, are they just telling me what I want to hear, to have fun and be with me for the night and not contact me again? Or are they genuinely interested and they're thinking, long term? But anybody wanting to get physical with you fast as well can be a red flag. Now, look, guys want physical fast. That we're not going to hold that against them. They're red-blooded, creatures. But the man really wants to earn the woman. So I always say, if the guy isn't fully committed, if he's not all in, if he's not telling you he loves you, why would you give away the farm? It's like going in, like I say, to McDonald's. If there isn't a contract that it's an exchange, I'm going to pay you, you're going to work, you're doing all the investing then. Yeah. And, and it's the other thing I would say as well is, there can be that form of love bombing in real life, that they want to meet you every night, or they want to be on a 7-hour date with you, every date. And that's to speed up the knowing process. You get more comfortable with people, you go quicker along the dating, pillars. So I say slow dating and sober dating, Hilary. The amount of,
my goodness.
Especially, guys, come on, they say I drank too much, Frances. I said, it takes you off your A game. Yes, I know. And I shouldn't have. And I just, it ran away with me. And just have a couple of drinks and be on your A game. You want to find love. You want to be on your A game. And if you want to find that right person, you want your judgment to be clear.
Absolutely. So when you're talking about love bombing, I find this topic really interesting as well. Does that continue? And talking about moving in fast or getting engaged fast or getting married fast, what's the pattern there? And is that something to watch out for as well? Because there's a difference, I suppose, between someone who's love bombing but is willing to walk away from you and someone who's love bombing but actually wants to commit and overcommit really, really fast.
Yes, and you hit the nail on the head. The people who are in it for the long game will hang around. That's why the 3-month is, honestly, it'll fix most problems with figuring out where is this going? Is this guy in? Is this girl all in? It cuts all of that out. You smoke out the wrong type of people then. Because a guy that's interested in you for your heart, for your soul, you know, for everything, your physicalness, your wit, your humor, your personality, they will hang around for the long game. They will wait to get the you know, slow investments, and you know, they'll accept that they're not getting the farm straight away. They'll accept that they have to earn it. Whereas the girls and guys that just want quick fix, they're not going to have the patience. They're going to move on to the next person that they, you know, want to have fun with. So that's really the tester. And again, consistency. If a person is consistent, so I always say, Hilary, you know, how people say, how do I know? So you get the truth from people's actions. Oh my God, people say a lot. Oh my God, you know, they will say a lot. But what you have to look for is two things. You know, do their words align with their actions? Is there alignment? Very important word. Is there alignment? Are they doing what they say they're going to do? Are they consistent in that? And, you know, are they reliable? Are they trustworthy? Is that what you're seeing all the time, the same thing? Or is it up and down and unpredictable? And the other thing is, you know, is it over time? Are you giving it a period of time to see it? Now, if people say, I don't know, you know, I can't see it or whatever, you watch for their actions. The actions is where the truth lies. Just watch what the guy is doing. I had a girl and she said, you know, we had a couple of red flags. I said, this is not looking good, but we'll see. We don't have concrete evidence yet, but it's, you know, I'm 80%, it's not looking good. And he came to her the next day and said, you know, will we come off Bumble or whatever? And she said, great. And we weren't feeling it. And a week later, she saw him on Tinder. So, oh, great, you come off Bumble, but you stayed on Tinder. You see, this is the games people play. But, you know, you have to be crystal clear and say, are you saying you want us to be exclusive? Are we both coming off all apps? You know, so it's about rooting out the truth and where people's intentions lie. And I say, you know, if as well you say, you know, this isn't working for me or whatever, if a guy is all in, he will protest. Oh my God, he won't leave the room until it's sorted out. Let's sit down, let's work it out. You know, they are the Mr. Fix-It Brigade, you know, and they will, you know, they will go in and, you know, remember, their brains are like one box, not a swimming pool like us. They have compartments where they put their work compartment in a box. They have different boxes in their brain. So they will be in that box of, I need to fix my relationship right now. And that's all they're focused on. They are highly focused, you know, their brains. So that's another thing to look out for. But it's about giving it the time. Is it consistent? Are there words and actions in alignment? You know, and if you're confused, check the actions. Check the actions. And I always say as well, back to the red flags in real life and seeing, you know, somebody in it for the long haul. I say if women are confused, they don't know what's going on, they don't know when they're meeting the guy again, they're pushed into their masculine energy, they're doing the pursuing, where are we going, where is this relationship going, when are we meeting? They're cloudy, things are murky, things are muddy. That's all the guy isn't all in. Because when a guy is all in, he's, hi, can we meet this week? I'll meet you, I'll pick you up at 7. You know where you're going. You know, they make it clear. Men are simple, men are black and white. So if they're not pursuing you, you know, it's a high chance they're not all in. He should be pursuing you. The man wants to earn the woman. He doesn't want the farm for free.
And the bad behavior that you've seen and we've discussed as well, is that, I mean, I don't want to just say it's just men. Is there a lot of women out there behaving badly according to some of your male clients?
100%. It's now, I'm saying men now is just a, you know.
Absolutely, of course, yeah.
100%. I had a male client, the woman was coming up to his house. He was cooking for her. He was letting her use, you know, his computer whenever she wanted to. It was like they were a married couple. His car, you know, it was like he was doing all the giving. She'd come then, she'd talk about her problems with other men to him. It was really disrespectful, really, really disrespectful. And I would even say the trend I'm seeing, Hilary, and I don't like, labels or boxes or anything, but just as a trend, when you see that situation between a man and a woman and the woman isn't all in, it's nearly always worse. Like the men might, take a bit here and there, the women go all in to take everything. Wow. So it's even worse. It's even worse. They take more advantage. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think that men in those situations feel really used. Like women feel used physically, but men feel really used, like materially almost,
They do, and even financially. And that's why I say, you mentioned boundaries, such a great point. You have to have your boundaries. I remember reading a saying years ago, 20 years ago, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. And I thought, my God, it's a good guideline. Have your boundaries of what you'll put up with, because we're all different. Some people will put up with, whatever, that's okay to them. And another woman wouldn't put up with it for 5 minutes. So, and it just depends what you're looking for. People are looking for different things. So you have to know yourself.
And for men then in this situation, what are red flags for men?
Very, very good question again. So the material things, like I had a client and she expected the guy to pay for absolutely everything. From the second they went out on the first date to if they were getting married. And I said to her, said lovingly, that's not the way it is. Back maybe in the day when, women weren't working or there was different roles or it was different society and economics or women couldn't work. Sure, in Ireland, we weren't allowed to work. It was when you got married or whatever, you had to leave your job. I said, we're not in that time anymore. We're in a new time. And it's the same as saying, and we laugh when we say this, but I mean, it's true. If a guy said to you, well, you have to be intimate with me anytime I want. You just have to do it. And that's it. How would you feel about that? I mean, what would we be saying? It's the same thing. You can't just look for a cash cow, and I think that's where guys, they get taken for monetary with their money and financially. The women, they're I had a guy that he asked a girl out for a coffee and she said, I think we should go for dinner. And she wasn't paying for the dinner and she picked the most expensive restaurant and he never saw her again. So that's why I say to my male clients as well, it's better for you to go for coffee. Men are amazing. Men are generous. They want to be kind. They want to treat the women that they're meeting. They say, I asked her out for dinner, and I say, don't, because first of all, it's too much pressure on both parties. And if there's no chemistry, you don't want to spend 3 or 4 hours with somebody. Nobody does, both sides. And it's better for them financially if they're dating a lot of women, if they're having a lot of first dates and they're trying to meet the one, you're going to be broke. And the women, I've interviewed my own audience and I am a woman and other women have told me a woman's favorite date is a coffee and maybe a walk after if it's going well. They just want the coffee date. People are too busy now. They like to just go in, seize their connection within an hour and a half, and get out and not waste both parties' time. Yeah. So, but it's definitely money-wise, the guy and use of things, like use of the computer with that girl and things like that.
Oh my goodness, this was a fast hour. I can't believe it. So I think we could probably do another episode down the line, but
I'd love that.
It would be great. It would be really great. I think there's so many more things that we can dive into, but I suppose for now, for the listeners, what do you think is the one question that everyone should ask early on when they're dating? What should they ask the other person or even themselves early on?
I think it would be, do you have the 3 things? Friendship, are they your best friend? Is this person showing up as a friend to me? Forget everything else. Forget is this person a good person that's going to enhance my life, that has my back? Like a friend, my best friend would. Number 2 is their chemistry. And number 3, the shared values. A lot of times you have 2, but you don't have the 3, and you need the 3 to make the cake. It's like the eggs, flour, and sugar. So the first 3 dates should only be for having fun, getting to know each other naturally, not like, an interview, and building the attraction So seeing is there a connection naturally. And then after that, on date like, even 6 or 7, 5, 6, 7, you need to say, okay, I'm sitting back, I'm asking myself, do I feel that I want to have a relationship with this person? Do they have the 3 things? And, and seeing is that person wanting the same as you. So that it's the 3 things are the main things. And the shared values are very important, because that's what creates long-lasting relationships.
Yes, absolutely. Wow, Frances. This is the Live Wild podcast, so we do a little Live Wild quick fire round at the end. Are you ready for your quick fire round?
I am. Thank you so much for having me.
It's been such a joy. We'll definitely have to come back and do another episode.
Oh, I'd love that.
Okay, so do you believe in magic?
110%.
Love it. What do you stand for? We've been talking a lot about this today, so what do you stand for?
Kindness is a massive thing. I think, did Jewel, the singer, say kindness is all that matters? Was it Ed Sheeran? I can't remember. I heard it in a line in a song and it really resonated with me. I think kindness, if you're kind, you can't go wrong. It's the most important thing in life, kindness.
So lovely. Pardon me. If you could distill yourself down to an essence, what would that essence be?
I've always said I'd love to be a swallow. Is that an essence? I don't
know.
Oh,
that's so lovely.
If I come back as a swallow, I don't know if that's an essence. But, again, I suppose essence, kindness, again, is coming in. If that's hitting the nail on, I don't know. Sorry.
No, I love it. And finally, hang on. What's our final question? Yes. What's the one thing you do every day to help you live wild and free?
I try to live on my own terms, like not care what people think, live life for me, because we only get one life. And number 2, be grateful. Get up and say it's a great day, focus on the good. We all have bad, but there's so many people, especially this day and age with the wars going on and everything, that we are living the life. Yeah. If everything was taken away from us today, we'd still be living the life.
Yeah.
And just to be grateful for our health and being able to get up and live life.
I think you should be in schools teaching people about relationships. There should be a relationship program in schools, shouldn't there? In secondary schools?
That is so weird, Hilary, you should say that. That has been a thought that has come into my head, and that I'm actually, thinking about this year, but it's hard to make happen. But I agree with you. Because like I said, some people haven't even had a first girlfriend, through school. Yeah. So thank you for that. Thank you.
I think you should. At schools, there should be an education piece, and there should be a parental piece as well about kids who are dating, so that parents can guide them through the way you're doing it for adults.
100%. I agree. We don't get a manual. I said that even, yesterday on the radio. We don't get a manual with the apps on how to use them. You can learn, driving easier, how to drive and how to cook, and relationships are 90% of our life. We don't have a manual for it.
This has been such a gorgeous, wholesome chat. I've loved every bit of it. Thank you so much. We'll do it again somewhere down the line, and you'll bring more of your gorgeous wisdoms. Thank you, Frances.
The pleasure's all mine. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Live Wild. If you enjoyed our conversation, make sure to follow the show and share it with someone who might need it today. And if you'd like to go deeper, you'll find all my work for now on Instagram at @HilaryRose and on my LinkedIn page, with links to both in the show notes, from keynote speaking and corporate facilitation to one-to-one consultations. You can also find details on upcoming events, workshops, and everything happening in the Live Wild community. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and is not a substitute for professional, medical, or therapeutic advice. Thank you for being part of this community. Stay curious, stay courageous, and as always, live wild.